Hello crochet friends, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to share this with you today because if you have ever been in the position where you have run out of safety eyes and maybe you're doing market prep or something, you know how terrible that can be. So I want to show you how easy it is to make little yarn embroidered eyes for your plushies. And they're adorable, they're pretty easy to do. I know there are a lot of tutorials out there that make them seem really complicated, so I wanted to do this easy one for you to show how simple this can be. So we're going to need a yarn needle and some scissors. You'll also need a little bit of black yarn, and I'm using medium weight yarn in black and white. So my plushies are made out of the blanket yarn, but I'm using medium size 4 yarn for the eyes. And then I use a crochet hook to bring my knots through at the end. I'll show you, but you can use a needle for that too if you like. But let's go ahead and clear all these little cuties out of here and we can get started. Actually, I'm going to leave one behind. He's going to hang out here while his friend gets his eye put on. It's the emotional support frog. So you can see this guy has one little embroidered eye, and we are going to create the other one. So we're going to start out with just our black yarn, and we're going to thread our needle. So the first thing you want to figure out is how big you want the eye to be. And then you're actually going to insert your needle way below that. So I've got this place where I want the eye to be, but I'm going to be inserting my needle way down in Mr. Frog's belly. And then I'm going to pull it up at about the place where I want the top of the eye to be. And I think I've got it just a little tiny bit too high, so I'm just going to put my needle back in there and just move it over just a tiny bit. So I get it exactly right where I want the top of that eye to be. And now I want to figure out where I want the bottom of my eye to be. So this will determine how tall my eye is. And I'm going to put it right about here. I'm trying to make it even with this other eye. I'm going to insert my needle there and then bring it right up through the same place where the yarn is already coming out of. And just pull it up so I've got one little line. And now I'm actually just going to be repeating that, inserting the needle in the same spot and then pulling it up through the same spot. But I've got a little technique here to keep the eye round. So when I pull the needle up, I'm going to bring the yarn over to the left side of my starting line. And then the next time I do it, I'm going to bring it over to the right side. So insert and pull up and then bring that yarn to the right side. And by alternating sides like that, it keeps the eye like nice and round. So how are we doing so far? You guys with me? So we're inserting and pulling up, 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 up. And then we just do it again on the other side. And just continue on. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so now when you've got to the point where you're like, okay, I think this eye is about round enough, I like to add 2 more. So we're going to do 1 more on the left side. So I'm going to insert my needle and pull it up. Oh, gotta find that same spot. There we go. It gets a little tricky the more yarn you get in there because you're going past a bulkier spot, right? Okay, and now for the very last one, this one's going to be on the right side. I'm going to insert my needle, but then I'm going to bring it back down where the little starting yarn is. So it's going to go down instead of up. We're going to go down where that other yarn is coming out of his belly. Sorry, Mr. Frog. He's so happy that his friend is here because this is traumatic for him, but he's going to be so happy when he has 2 eyes. There we go. Okay, now you can see I have a nice round black circle. But you notice how the safety eyes have that little shiny, shiny sparkle to them? How do we get that, right? Let me trim this end here and then let me show you. So see how the hard plastic safety eye has like a little shine to it because, it's hard plastic, so it reflects light and it has that little bling, little glimmer. Well, how do we get that with solid black yarn? Well, we're going to do it by adding a little tiny dot of white. And there are so many different ways you can do this. I've seen it so many different ways. You can do a line down the middle, you can go around the side, you can add a little dot anywhere on there. Since my guy is a frog and his eyes just need to look really round and shiny, I'm just going to put one little dot in the middle. And I'm going to start it the same way by inserting my needle down in his belly and bringing it up. Now, this is tough because in addition to all the times the black yarn goes over the top to make the circle we can see, there's also black yarn underneath. So be patient. It's okay. You're just going to push your needle through it and you're going to get through. And if a little stuffing comes out, that's okay. You're just going to push that needle through and bring your white yarn up. And then I'm going to try to make my little dot at the same spot that it is on the other eye. So you're going to insert your needle and push it on through. Again, it might be a little hard, might be a little tricky. You honestly could use a smaller needle if you want to, but I just kind of wiggle it to get that needle through. And then pull it on back down through his little belly there. And kind of gotta pull and pull until you get it to the right little size. So I went over one piece of black yarn so that that white little dot is one piece of yarn wide, if that makes sense. And now he's got one little dot. Oh, doesn't that make his eye look bright and round and cute? You can kind of manipulate the yarn a little bit if you want it to look a little bigger or smaller, that little white dot, make the black look a little rounder, etc. You can play around with it, but you guys are going to have a lot of fun just playing around with different ways that you can do the white and things like that. So, but this is just the most basic, absolute most basic way that you can make a yarn eye. You make a circle and you add a little bling, a little glimmer of light. So now to finish, we've got all this yarn hanging out of his belly, so I'm going to tie it in a little knot. I'm just doing an overhand knot, but you can do a right knot or whatever you want, square knot rather. And I'm going to do it with the other one over here, the black yarn. And then we're just going to pull those back down into his belly to get rid of them. And I use a crochet hook for this, but you really could use your yarn needle. I just feel like this is way easier. Now just be careful when you're pulling those ends in. Don't pull them too tight because, like, for example, if you pull the white too tight, you can pull it all the way through and then he no longer has that little bling in his eye because it would like pull it down into the black. And then if you have a little extra, you just want to trim those ends off. And then he's all done. Yay! Hey there, emotional support buddy. We're all finished. Oh, I've got a little more to pull through there. There we go. Okay. Now I'm all done, buddy. Surgery's done. I've got 2 eyes. I can see this beautiful world and all those YouTubers out there. What a beautiful day. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know how your cute little embroidered eyes come out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!